I'm with Ilya Kurowski, Partner Manager from Semos Cloud. Well, firstly, Ilya, thanks for joining today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here, and it's a pleasure to share all my thoughts and insights for the program and for our collaboration so far.
And candidly, it's nice to see you again. We had a really enjoyable time working with you and the team, and frankly, it's just nice to see you. So, obviously, we're talking about the Funnel Mastery program, which SAP brought to you, and I want to learn, I guess, a little about the journey that led you up to this point. Why Funnel Mastery was a relevant conversation at all. Of course, a little about the Funnel Mastery itself, but the backstory is quite interesting because you're a very successful business based in North Macedonia, serving Europe, but also the North American market. And I'm pretty keen to explore, if you're up for it, the journey that led you to this point, not just about the Funnel Mastery itself. Maybe to start off, we could talk about introducing Semos Cloud. Clearly, I know quite a bit about you now, having worked with you for some weeks. But for those who don't know Semos Cloud, can you perhaps start off by introducing yourself and your role, but also Semos Cloud and what you do for the market?
So thank you, as I said, for the opportunity, Hugh, for being here, and thank you for you and your team for involving us in this great journey, which I'm sure will end up successfully. As you mentioned, my name is Ilya Kurowski. I'm the partner manager here at Semos Cloud. Semos Cloud is an enterprise-grade software company existing on the market for more than 10 years. Some would say we are a young company. We're considering ourselves as a mature company, not an old company, even though we are still considering with the energy that we are a startup company. So the energy is here, the passion is here, and the wish for growth is here. We are, as we always want to say about us, is that we would like to create those wow moments that matter for our customers, employees, meaning that we really do care with our Cultural Intelligence Hub or Employee Experience Hub. We are taking care that every employee within companies is being heard, every employee is being touched, and every employee is being satisfied for the company and feeling valued for the effort that they are giving within the company. So in a nutshell, as I said, we are a software company. We built our own software, but for the purposes of bringing the employee satisfaction, bringing the employee engagement, which is really quite important in these days when talent is more and more on the high level of necessity for the companies.
Something I learned from you and from the team in the planning process is that there are two quite important moments when a company acknowledges that rewards and recognition is even important. And it's surprising how many companies don't understand how important that is to attract and retain the right talent, but also to motivate them. Even if you manage to retain them, you need to motivate them. And there are, of course, companies that don't understand how important that is. But then when they do understand how important a good and professional rewards and recognition program is, they still get it wrong because their approach is a little too rigid, a little too exclusive, a little too siloed. Tell us a bit about the problem that you're solving. Why is it that companies need Semos Cloud?
So actually, one thing that we are for sure doing is that we tend to say that we are creating the irresistible organization. This is a little bit broader picture for us, but if we want to narrow down, it's actually that we are putting recognition at the core of company culture, giving the peer and peer recognition, manager to peer recognition, and actually by that we are helping the companies that we are working with that engage their employees with positivity and encouragement. Because at the end of the day, what makes an organization successful are the employees themselves. So we really place a high value on employees. Our rewards and recognition platform, as you mentioned, is designed to help companies boost employee morale, engagement, and productivity. So with our platform, every company can easily create custom rewards and recognition programs tailored to the unique needs of a particular company, because all of the companies that we are working with have different challenges that they're tackling. For example, one company might have problems and issues or opportunities of driving cultural transformation by using power of recognition, aligning the company culture, whether it's across different departments or from within the country or in different countries, because especially after the COVID crisis, we are facing a lot of acquisitions from larger to smaller companies, startups being merged, and so on. So, which means that we might face company where we do have 10 different company cultures now under one umbrella. So we are helping companies to unify that company culture and to try to, in a transparent way, to enable everyone within companies, even the deskless workers, which might not have possibility to work on computer and to interact with computer, to be heard, as I said at the beginning, and to engage is a matter. So we are facing very much problems within some of the companies where some employees were not even asked for their opinion, were not even recognized for many years because they're not maybe in the customer field segment like sales, marketing, and so on, and they really did a great job behind the scene. So we are really, with our platform, we are really driving, I would say, even the change management towards unified company culture.
Super important, and I will confess that it's something that I learned from the time that we spent together in the planning, that I simply didn't understand the complexities. And you speak just now of the mergers and the consequential differences in the businesses, within the businesses. It's not just that one business is different from the other, but within one business there are many different silos. So all of that was true before we met, and the company was successful and was growing and was, well stocked with smart people doing good things. Don't want to ask you yet a question about funnel mastery itself. We are going to get to that, but rather again about what was going on for Semos Cloud that made now an appropriate time to get any kind of help. Not yet why funnel mastery was great, but why did you really think that this was a good time to get any kind of help in the growth of the business?
Cool. I will start where you ended up, actually. That we are considering that we really did good in the past. As I mentioned at the beginning, we are quite a young company, even though with all the things that we have done in the past, we achieved some certain level of maturity, but we are still considering ourselves as a startup company. And as any growing startup company, the need of rapid extension and expansion is really real. So in the hustle and bustle of growth, there is a risk of overlooking crucial process, actually. So we thought that we knew everything, that we see everything, but we were some kind of lacking the crucial processes. These processes are the gears that keep the acceleration going, and we couldn't afford to have them hindered in a certain manner. So the decision to engage in planning process was prompted actually by a desire to take a break, to step back a little bit, to assess our existing strategies and identify areas for improvement. So because you know how they say, we firmly believe that well thought out plans lays the groundwork for success. It's actually more than a half of the battle won is actually in a good plan. So we wanted to a little bit calm down, because it's end of year after all. So we wanted to better enter in the new year so that we set up. So I think that this brought us, like, we already brought a certain level of maturity that we now need to a little bit settle down to plan in order to accelerate our growth.
The way that you speak of, Ilya, my recollection is that we had partner management, yourself, we had marketing, we had sales from North America, from Europe North and Europe South, we had product marketing, we had pre-sales. Was it helpful having so many of the team involved in the formation of the plan?
So as you mentioned, Hugh, actually in our planning team and all the teams which are focused on go-to-market strategy and shaping go-to-market strategy were involved, as you mentioned, pre-sales, sales, business development, partnership, and the diversity of perspectives actually and functions brought into the planning team proved to be actually instrumental in achieving better alignment across various facets and organization in our operation. So therefore, we have started with only the sales team and business development team. Then we looked in the pre-sales, then we looked in the business development as the planning was going, because we were lacking crucial inputs in certain moments while we were planning that should have come from those teams. So we didn't want to be somehow a messenger and to interpretate their messages and expectations for the planning, but we really want to have their feet on ground and to hear their opinion about how we should execute our plan and we should shape our strategy for the future.
You're making a great point, and I guess we want the knowledge that you're speaking of from key members of the team, but also the buy-in, because we want those members of the team to believe in, buy into, commit to support the plan that you're building. That's great.
Sure, because yesterday I just was discussing with some friends of mine from the change management in general, not whether it's culture change, whether it's whatsoever, should of course be supported from the top management, be supported also from the mid management, but should be bought by the people. So it's from the people for the people. So also this change management, if some of the participants, and this is very important for a successfulness of this kind of program, if some of the participants are not aligned with the clear goal, what we want to achieve with this certain program, then I would say the chances of successfulness of the program itself are lower down, I would say, and I'm not overestimating, by 50%, because only one chain within the full picture can really contribute a lot, but can really pull back a lot from executing such a plan. So for example, putting in a simple words here, if we make a perfect plan, but without executing it from the business plan, from the business development perspective or marketing perspective, then we can only keep the plan in our drawers.
The planning that we did together, we had a little bit of time with you and Philip and I to, I guess, think through how we wanted to do the planning. Then we had the planning workshops themselves over multiple days. Then we documented the plan in several forms, and now, as you know, we're in the middle of the execution. We've begun the execution, but we're only, let's say, partway into the execution. We're going to stay together for 100 days during the execution. Out of all of the elements of the Funnel Mastery program, what have you found to be the most valuable?
First of all, the planning itself, the full process. And I would say the most valuable thing we achieved here is a third eye within the game, within the planning, with you, with your team. When you're inside, when you are in that circle of people, you think and you believe, not only think, that you know everything about who are your ideal customers, who is your buyer persona, what is your target, what are your target accounts, what you want to achieve, what are their challenges, and so on. And then suddenly comes a third person, third eye within the game and said, look, guys, this is okay, what you're thinking, but have you considered XYZ? And then it's an eye-opener that someone who is not biased from the things that you are doing on a daily basis and showing you another perspective. This is, I would say, awakening. Certainly, we had objectives like alignment of sales and marketing, like building the better plan and more strategic, modern final plan, improving conversion rates, and so on. But all of these things we have already done. All the business plannings that we did in 2022, probably we would do without being here in 2023 as well, for sure, with some lessons learned from the past, transferred to the business planning. But again, I will give you an example, and putting high expectations here to Hugh and his team actually, is that so far, because we are a bootstrap company, we have been growing with some rate of 25 to 30%. So with implementing these strategies, I would say, in this plan, we are even looking forward to doubling down this percentage of growth. So this is the as I said, and to wrap it up at the end, the most valuable thing is giving a third eye, giving the third opinion from someone who is experienced and who has been working with a lot of similar companies in the ecosystem.
Well, thank you, Ilya. You spent a lot of time, so your own time, but we walked through the participants from Semos Cloud that were involved in the planning. It's a not small investment. And if you take your mind back to when you and Philip and I were first talking, and you were advocating for this program, and we were really trying to work out, is this going to be a good thing or is not? That moment when you're thinking, it sounds like there are some benefits here. Do I, don't I? Am I convinced? If you were talking with somebody who was in that mode of, like, I heard it, I understand it, should I believe it? Should I make the move? What would you say to somebody who was in that early stage of contemplating such an investment in time, but was not certain about whether they should or they should not?
Well, it's a both easy and difficult question. What hindered us to bring a decision? But I will say that it was as we previously mentioned, it was buy-in from every participant. So we looked what are the expectations, we looked what are the objectives, we looked at what are the suggestions from your side and promises put in that way that you will deliver to us. Mm-hmm. So it was some kind of a fit. We knew what our goal is, and as you see, for during the process, we are even changing a little bit the journey. So the most important thing is to have in mind that yes, there will be time consumption. Yes, most of the team will at the beginning resist to the change, but believe me, it's worth doing, because it's something that you might not consider previously, and now it's an eye-opener. So as I mentioned previously, step back a little bit, think about the strategy, decide that you want to put your commitment of time and effort within the game, gain the trust from all the participants, and go for it.
That's wonderful, Ilya. Thank you so much. Semos Cloud is solving a real problem for the market. Companies that recognize the importance of rewards and recognition, but perhaps don't recognize the complexities of the nuances and differences within the company and the need for a truly unique solution. You're bringing that to market, and I'm really excited to watch the success of Semos Cloud as you help so many more companies with their success engaging with their employees. Thanks for joining today.
Thanks a lot, Hugh. It was a pleasure.